Have you felt it?
It's like, what is it?
The rider's high. A feeling like no other.
It's a feeling of...
It's hard to describe.
But even the science is unclear.
In some ways, rider's high is kind of an imprecise term.
Again, I've not seen any research indicating this, but there could be evidence, further down the line.
One thing we do know, it feels great.
It was pretty like, wow, this is cool.
I think it's probably exactly what I'm seeking when I go out on a ride every day.
So what is the rider's high? And how do we find it every time we ride?
It will happen to different people at different times, and different people will experience it in different ways.
In some ways, rider's high is kind of an imprecise term, and people probably use it in multiple different ways. One is the reward, the excitement for landing difficult, challenging, or exciting activities.
It's the immediacy of it. It's the focus is like nothing else. It's just little challenges that you overcome. In that moment, it was the most alive I've felt.
Then there's also the flow state, which is a little bit more long-lasting while you're doing the activity.
Flow state is a lack of anything else. It's just the riding that's going on. You're completely present.
Yeah, I guess it's like you're out of the real world. Doesn't matter what time it is, doesn't matter what day it is. You're just there doing your thing and having a good time.
There's this little spot called the ventral striatum. This is really part of your brain's reward system. So every time you do something that gives you that sort of go juice, like land a jump or do some particularly technical bit, or just speed through a really cool trail, your brain is releasing dopamine, which is your reward chemical.
It's almost undescribable, the feeling of being on the edge. It's just like an absolute thrill.
Parts of the brain that are responsible for our fight or flight get more activated during that time to prepare us for that challenge that we're about to encounter. Then you will get that sort of elation and that really positive mindset.
You really get addicted to it and want more.
Something that always sticks out to me is something I've been chasing since I was really young, is actually like jumps and the feeling of weightlessness. From extreme Gs to absolute weightlessness, like that is the best feeling for me.
What becomes really interesting is that there's some extra things that are going on, and then there's also some suppression of your brain when this is happening. So, for instance, we don't see activation in the prefrontal cortex, which is part of the brain that's important for planning, worrying. And I suspect that when you're riding, you need to focus on that sort of flow. When you're attending to your environment and being really focused on it, you don't really have time for a lot of extraneous kind of thinking. You're not thinking about the bills or the mortgage. You've got to be in the moment.
Shut down the mortgage part.
Mortgage is out.
Self-doubt, gone.
Sometimes what happens is you start worrying and it just cycles and you can't get out of it. Doing this kind of exercise gets you out of that, and that reset sometimes is enough to get you to be like, oh, okay, no, I can deal with this, it'll be fine.
Being present in the moment is something that we don't do enough. And so when I'm riding my mountain bike, it's time to do one thing.
Probably forget everything else in the world. You are just into the bike and the trail.
Just have this feeling of freeness. It feels effortless.
Can you pinpoint what it is about riding that's so special from the MRI?
A lot of these benefits come through because you're combining all of these different aspects. The reward in doing something fun, the flow state that's reducing anxiety, being out in nature also reduces stress, and of course the exercise that's just beneficial anyway, all come together to make it a really engaging, fun, rewarding thing to do.
So it's scientifically proven that bikes are great. Can we say that?
I think that's fair.
When we're talking about riders' flow, we're talking about also their interaction with a bike. We're not just talking about the body and the mind. They've also got something external to themselves, and that's a really important part of this.
it's a wonderful feeling of knowing, yeah, actually I can do that. My bike can do that. Let's go.
When we asked individuals why they ride an e-bike, the most common response is they tried it and they absolutely loved it. We saw that they're riding faster and they're riding further whenever they go out on an e-bike. So that would suggest that potentially they might be able to acquire skill more easily.
You can make any bit of track fun. Like you can make an uphill fun.
You can do more and more runs, and in doing more and more runs, it just gets better and better.
There you have it. In measured scientific terms, riding a bike gets you high. Challenging yourself creates a feel-good dopamine hit, and focusing on longer rides shuts down the prefrontal cortex, chasing away those negative thoughts and feelings. However you go about it, the quickest way to your next high is on 2 wheels.